My name is John Clarke. I'm a citizen of the Republic of South Africa, and I openly invite SANRAL to charge me for refusing to pay e-tolls. On Thursday, the 10th of September, a Gauteng freeway user, Dr. Stoyan Stoichkov, was criminally prosecuted for defeating the ends of justice because he fraudulently doctored his number plates to evade camera detection, so as to avoid paying traffic fines and e-tolls. In a plea and sentence agreement, he was sentenced to pay a fine, render community service, as well as pay off a 14,000 Rand e-toll bill. Predictably, SANRAL has now amplified that prosecution as much as possible in the media, claiming it was the first successful, precedent-setting, lawful prosecution for the non-payment of e-toll bills. Well, it may have been successful in a way of extorting money out of a hapless offender, but precedent-setting and lawful it most definitely was not. That's because it was the result of a plea bargain and therefore was not binding in the court. Now, as to its lawfulness, well, SANRAL has yet to prove that in the criminal court. Instead, SANRAL is targeted to prosecute someone who is already compromised. And by coercing him in his state of vulnerability, they've in fact further undermined their own legitimacy. The case for lawfulness has not been made in terms of the requirements of the Criminal Procedures Act. And I am convinced that when the formal decision was taken to declare Gauteng freeways as e-toll payways back in 2008, it was seriously lacking in constitutional alignment because SANRAL had never engaged in a meaningful and proper public consultation process. Accordingly, I want to invite Mr. Ali, as the CEO of SANRAL, to now lay a criminal charge against me for non-payment of e-tolls because I am convinced that a prosecution will fail to prove the lawfulness of e-tolling in open court. But my decision is not simply because I don't want to pay e-tolls. Instead, it's because I take the rule of law very, very seriously, and I want the state to enjoy ever-increasing legitimacy in performing its role in creating good order in society. Because when people in authority want the rest of us to behave, it matters first and foremost how they themselves behave. It's called the principle of legitimacy. And as Malcolm Gladwell, that well-known writer, explains, is based on three fundamentals, without which people will simply lose respect for authority and be disobedient. Firstly, people must be given a voice and listened to up front. Secondly, laws that are made must then be predictable. The lawmaker must be trusted. And thirdly, when they apply the laws, it must be done with fairness. How did SANRAL behave in respect of e-toll thing? Has it met those benchmarks? Well, the ongoing controversy and the ever-changing e-toll regulations, all the public protests against e-tolls, tells us that SANRAL has not met these benchmarks. It's so self-evident. And the Bill of Rights upholds the right of every person to be governed in a manner that is lawful, reasonable, and procedurally fair. However, even more alarming is that SANRAL has now used costly court processes as a substitute for its duty to ensure a prior, free, and informed public participation process. It's now trying to force the public to submit to this unjust scheme. In so doing, SANRAL has effectively eroded the rule of law, because when just laws are used as a cover for unjust prosecution, good order in society is eroded and lawlessness is encouraged. So I am really sincere when I request that SANRAL prosecute me and put me up under the lawfulness test of e-tolling. Advocate David Broughton, you were the senior state prosecutor in the Stoichkov case. Well, I share your concern about stopping people who incite other people to commit criminal acts, but the state has yet to prove, in terms of criminal law, the lawfulness of e-tolling. And it has not yet proved that the failure to pay e-toll bills amounts to a standalone criminal offence. Human rights do not belong to the government. And they most certainly do not belong to SANRAL. They belong to people. My name is John Clarke. I'm claiming my human rights. Come and charge me.